Hi, my name is Beasley and I'm doing a video on preparing good quality soil mixtures for potting plants. And so what I like to start off with is make sure that in your pot you have really good drainage holes, because if you don't, then you're going to drown your plant and kill it. And from there, go on to, I would start off with putting a layer of gravel in the bottom. That's really hard to see because it's bright, but just little pieces of gravel, so that that just helps facilitate drainage in the bottom of the pot. And it doesn't have to be a large layer, maybe half an inch to an inch thick. And then after that, we go on to making our actual, oh, actually, no, there was another thing. I also like to add a layer of cardboard on top of the gravel, because this prevents your soil from leaking down into the gravel and compacting it and actually preventing anything from draining. And this does a really good job. It'll last for a long time. And I found with like soil fabrics that they tend to get clogged, whereas this does a really good job of allowing water to go through it. And so you just put that on top of your layer of gravel. And then to actually make your soil mixture, you start with, and this is just one method, but this is kind of like a general purpose soil mixture, and you want to do some research like for each individual plant, because they all have their own needs. So general purpose, I like to start off with a water retention agent like sphagnum moss, and it's really nice because it's a renewable resource and it does a really good job of keeping the moisture in the soil without making it drenched. So you start off with just one part, and the parts depend on how much soil mixture you're going to be making. So it's 1 part sphagnum moss, and you want to just spritz that with a little bit of water to make it mix a little easier. And then from there you add in, I would recommend adding in vermiculite, but I don't have any of that. I actually have these soil moist polymer granules, and they do the same thing. It's just another water retention aid. They absorb a ton of water, and then as the plant needs it, it can draw the water out of the granules. And so we're just going to add in 2 teaspoons of this into the mixture, and this is what it looks like. Just these little tiny granules. Okay. And then from there you can add in some type of slow release fertilizer slash plant food slash minerals, which will really help your plants out because they need minerals and nutrients just like we do to grow. And so this is just a all-purpose equal parts nitrogen, phosphate, and sulfur fertilizer. And so for this, we're going to add in 1/4 cup to our mixture. Where's my cup? One. Okay. good minerals and stuff in there. Okay, and then the last thing that we're going to add into this mixture is the compost. And you want to do 2 parts compost for this. And so then you just dump all of that in together into your bucket. And you want to be wearing gloves for this. Because not necessarily super good for you to get on your skin. Okay, so gloves, and then you just reach in and mix it all around really good. And you can, if you see that it's not mixing very well, you can add in a little bit of water. You don't want it to be moist, but it can be damp, and that'll usually help with mixing it. And so the spray bottle really helps with that, keeping you from dumping in way too much water at once. You want to make sure that it's all mixed really well throughout the soil so that there aren't pockets where you're going to have clumps where you don't have good aeration, and you'll get root rot and stuff. Okay. And you can make this mixture any size that you need. You can make a lot of it if you tend to plant a lot of things throughout the year, and you can just store it in an airtight container so it doesn't dry out, because generally most of the stuff is kind of hard to re-wet once it dries out. But so if you just keep it in an airtight container, then you'll have it whenever you need it. Okay, so now it's all mixed in there. Come over here and put a layer of it down into the bottom of the pot. And cover up the cardboard. And then you can take your plant that you're going to be transplanting and kind of squeeze that and get it out of its pot that it's in. Gently though, of course. And so this plant is pretty root bound. And so what you can do, if this is the case, you don't want to leave it like this, because the plant will just end up killing itself. And it'll be really difficult for it to actually spread and grow out from here when its roots are like this. So what you want to do is you can take a knife or a pair of scissors, like I happen to have, and you just slice down into the roots and across, and just kind of break those up a little bit. You're not hurting the plant by doing this, not really. I mean, it'll survive. It's better for it than for it to stay this way. And just loosen all of that up so that it can grow out into the new soil and get the nutrients and water that it needs. And if it's really bad, you can actually go in and just cut chunks right out of the root ball there. And then just kind of pull at the roots a little bit. Loosen them up some more. Make sure it's all the way on the bottom too, that it's nice and loose. that's much better. And then you just take it and put it into your pot like that. Make sure that it's not raised up too high in the pot because you want to make sure that you can make an even layer of soil around the across the top layer there. And if the plant's too high up, then you won't be able to create that. It'll create a mound instead, and the water will seep down to the edges of your pot. Or if you put too much soil in, then it'll wash the soil out of the pot, which isn't what you want. And you also don't want it to be too low, because then you'll create a hollow where the water will pool at the base of your plant. So then you just go in, and in the space that is around the plant left there, you fill that in with soil, with the rest of your soil mixture that you made. And then once you're done with that, you want to make sure that you water it really well, and probably I would say do this outside and water it thoroughly a couple of times so that you get water washing through the soil and draining out a couple of times, because that'll allow all of those ingredients that you just mixed together to kind of activate, and the granules of vermiculite or the soil moist like I have, it basically just expands them to their full potential, and then from there on out, as long as you regularly water them, they'll hold as much moisture as you want them to. Okay, and that is one method that I have discovered after lots of research and help from the horticulture students at UGA for creating your own soil mixture and having success in growing really healthy plants. So thank you for watching, and good luck planting.